is none other than Josephine Melville. Dancer, actor, musician, director, producer, and archivist. What's an archivist? She came into my conscious vision, my peripheral, as a member of the BiBi Crew on another level.
Why are you wearing that on your nose? What's it for? My mummy says it's going to make my nose straight and not big and flare out. I have to wear it every day, and when I take it off, I have to do this.
What's wrong with you? What are you trying to do that to your nose for?
Starting with childhood, On the Level presents a series of sketches which traces the experience of being a black woman.
She produces bespoke educational workshop for the youth then, but is better known for her work with the Arts Council of Great Britain. She's a governor on the board of Chalkwell Hall School and is the founder of South Essex African Caribbean Association. There's more! Assistant producer to the musical West End hit The Harder They Come and the assistant director of Five Guys Called Mo. Let's see what she's like. Whoa, what an intro. That's a big intro, isn't it? You got to admit that. That's a big intro. Thank you very much for joining me. My name's Rudi Lickwood, and I'm glad to have you guys in the building. How you doing? Somebody has actually sent me a comment. Thank you very much. Claire, as per usual. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, darling. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. I see there's another 7 people in the room. I've got a couple of likes, a couple of thumbs up, which I really do appreciate. It's important that you actually share this thing with me, actually, to be honest with you, because if you don't share it, right, people won't know, right? And it's important that people know what's going on. So do like the page, right? Do subscribe, especially if you're on YouTube, right? Let other people know. Yeah, well, you could actually let other people know by sharing it. That's the easiest thing that you could do, really and truly. If you share it, then other people will know. So let me share it with a few people. I think I'll share it with my guest first of all. I think that's the first thing that I should do, don't you think? Have you noticed that I've got my hat on, right? I've got my woolly top on, right? Because it's getting cold, isn't it? It's getting cold. It's getting cold. It's getting cold. And I'm not rushing to put on the radiator right about now because, you know, the gas bill, all them bill there. No, sir. No, me no rush. No rush. Craigie, what is it like up in Norwich, my friend? What's it like right about now? The wind must be blowing. Either that or some of them escaped convicts around your side are running around the fields loose. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they're running around they're loose. Now, you might have noticed, right, that, hi Viv, how you doing, darling? Thank you for joining me. You might have noticed that some of my words are a bit slurry, right? And it's because Julie Juice sent me some cake. Now, may I tell you the truth, yeah? She wrap up the cake tight, yeah? She put it in foil, yeah? And she put it in cling film, right? But I tell you, if there was a sniffer dog who did come around that cake, the dog would have drunk right about now. That dog would have been drunk. Peter, how you doing, Pete? Good to have you in the room, man. Always good to have you in the room. It's a blessing when you're here. Priscilla, me and Priscilla was working together only the other day in Luton at the Hat Factory. Oh, what a show that was. That was a phenomenal show. And the way in which Priscilla was dropping it about Black History Month and all the people they don't talk about. And my brother was singing as well. Kenyon sings. He was there too. So that was a good evening. Thank you, Mark, all the way down there in Cornwall. How you doing, Mark? Mark. How you doing? How you doing, people? So once again, please do like, subscribe. Please do share, right? It doesn't cost you nothing to share it. All you've got to do, Julie, I was talking about you a minute ago. Good evening. What you on about? I'm on about the cake, yeah? Because I'm slurring my words right about now. How much alcohol did you put in that cake, darling? Pray tell, how much alcohol you put in that cake? Because, it's drunky try drunk me. It's drunky try. Priscilla, it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Working with you is always a pleasure. Do you know what I mean? You have to excuse me. I'm eating some of the cake right about now. So if the words them start slur, blame this young lady. See her name up there, Julie Juice. Blaine Julie Juice. All right. Okay, so what can I tell you about my guest that you maybe have not read already? Actress, producer, archivist. Oh my God, she's so much. She's so much. It's impossible for me to tell you all by myself. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this out. Oh, it's a bit low, isn't it? Hold on. Let's try this again. Hold on, it's still a bit low. Still a bit low. Let's try it again. It's getting a bit louder, isn't it? Can you hear it? The little applause in the background. Can you hear it? Let's see what it does now. Listen, mate. Listen. When you leave it fermenting, then the rum does its work. Yeah, something learn. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? That sounds a lot better. Okay. Here we go. I'm glad you heard it. A little round of applause. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all it leaves me to do now is to introduce you to my guest, Miss Josephine Melville. Come into the room, darling. Come in. Oh, pleasure having you. How are you, babes?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me, Rudi.
Oh, I had to invite you. I had to invite you. There was no messing about, man. You are what I call a pioneer. Even when we spoke, you never ever said it. You never ever said it. You never even mentioned it. You never even got close to saying it.
Do you know what? You just do what you do, and you kind of try to make each day something positive, and you move it on. So I don't really look at it like that. It's only on reflection. Like now you're kind of profiling it in front of me. It's making me think, oh, okay, done a few things.
Yeah. It is amazing when you look back and you kind of think to yourself, you know what I mean? Look all the stuff that I've done. Look at all the works what's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? So tell me something. How has the pandemic treated you?
You know what? I thought it would be really dire, but it's been an interesting time. And for me, I always say, when we as creatives gets our back pushed up against the wall, we come out fighting in a different way. There's always another way to try and do something. And that's what I have been doing during this time. So I have created, where I wasn't getting any work, in the arts, on stage and TV, whatever, I was doing a lot of community work, which was really important to me, because it's about changing people's mindsets. It's such a challenging time. It's been such a challenging time. There's been a lot of mental health and well-being that's been affected. Right. So on people. So, for me to be able to do something slightly different that can take you out of that mindset, then I'm glad.
So what, did you do any food bank stuff like that? Did you?
No, it wasn't like that. It was more creative. The weirdest thing was, it was International Women's Week. So the pandemic hit kind of March, the end of March.
That's
and
right.
we've just done International Women's Day, and that was an amazing event. I know we're going to talk about that a bit later, but all of a sudden we done that and we went bang into lockdown. Yeah. So then I created a project called Stepping Out, which was looking at interviewing elders, because the organization that I am the chair and the founder of down here is Southend, is called the South Essex African Caribbean Association. Oh, look at you with your pictures on point. Hey, no hairs on you, Rudi. Work them fingers, baby. Hey, get that up.
I try. So tell us about them.
The South Essex African Caribbean Association, the ladies that you see there are members, and one of them, Shauna, as I'm looking at the camera on the left-hand side in the blue Good Vibes t-shirt, she's one of the trustees. This was a celebration of us gaining charitable status. The organization had been going since 2012. I'd done it as a really informal kind of thing to bring African Caribbean families together here in Southend, because my journey here in Southend was one of, why are you going to move and live in Southend? There ain't no black people up there.
That was the question that I was asking myself. I'm like, what are you doing down here? I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, that's exactly what you said to me when I said, come, Rudy, come, listen, Curtis is coming, Angie's coming, everybody's coming, come down and do a bit on. I've taken over the theatre down here because they've got a lovely little theatre called the Palace Theatre, which is very, very, like about the same kind of capacity as the Theatre Royal Stratford East, which is my home, which is where I grew up, which is like, you know, there was a parallel there. And they have a bigger theatre as well. It's called the Cliffs Pavilion, and it holds 2,000 people.
I've actually performed it. Yes, I have.
All right, with your show off self, yeah.
No, we're not showing off. It's just that, you know what I mean. We're not showing off. It's just that, yes, man. Me travel upon that day, that the stage.
You done stand up there?
Yes.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because normally they bring the stand-ups and they come into the Palace because that's like about 500 odd seater.
Yeah, I've done there as well.
Yeah, because I brought you down. No. But that was part of that journey, was to say that actually we can create things. Initially, I was having to run backwards and forwards into London to try and, you know, survive and do work. But then I thought, let's bring some of London into Southend. Let's bring some of the people that I know, comedians, singers, dancers, here into Southend and create something with the local community, which was Party at the Palace in, I think on the T-shirts, it was like 2009?
It may have been.
Oh.
May have been.
Was it? Yeah. You see that now? Yeah. 2009. We took over this theatre. They were in shock, actually, because they'd never seen so many black people. And it wasn't just black people. It was a real mixture. We rammed that theatre, and they were just like,
I know. It was like, I can't believe that there's the thing is that they don't really know how to market to us, though, don't you think, Joe? Do you think that's where the issue really is that
Definitely.
They don't know how to reach us?
Definitely, I really would agree with you there. I mean, for us, when we took over that theatre that day, I just felt like I needed to show everything. I needed to do everything at one time just to give them a little taster. So even in the foyer, we had stalls doing crafts and jewelry. We had two DJs out there rocking it. So after the show, when people came out, they had a little DJ music, dancing business going on. It was awesome. I had people coming in from London. We had local people, everybody mixed up. And that was the whole point of setting up the South Essex African Caribbean Association.
Look at that. So, Craig just jumped straight in on you. He wanted to know if you've been in EastEnders.
Yeah, many years ago, actually. Yes, I was in EastEnders. But
what was your character? What was your character? Can you remember?
Yeah. Actually, I went in twice. Do I say that? But initially when I went in, I mean, see, if I say this now, people are going to be like, what? Angie was the barmaid. Anybody remember Angie?
Yeah, and Dirty Den and Angie.
There you go.
Yeah.
And there was a black family. It was the first black family that was in there, the Carpenters.
Yes.
So they had you remember?
Yeah. Of course I do. Cool. Because there was a time when it was a case of that's all we used to live on was the soaps. It was like Coronation Street, EastEnders, Brookside. There was this circle that we used to do before they started to bring in all the reality TV shows started coming in. Craig says that he thought he recognized you.
Bless him. Craig. Hi, Craig. Thank you for saying that. You're taking me back in time if you thought you remembered me from then.
Well, if that's taking you back in time, let's go right back in time. Let's go right back.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm remembering the pictures that I sent you. Mm-hmm.
So
I love this picture.
Where was this taken?
This was taken in East London, in Forest Gate, in our first house, my mum and dad's, in the garden. You notice I'm riding a tricycle. And if you look closely, you'll see I got the Suda, still got the Suda around my neck.
You look a dummy. Yeah.
Well, they call them pacifiers now or something.
Yeah, that's
right. It was a Suda.
Yeah.
You got your Suda. Why is she crying? Give her a Suda.
Yeah.
And there was no tutus about it. Well, there wasn't a worry. It was just like, you had it. So I had mine around my neck just in case anything kick off.
So what do you brothers and sisters?
I have four brothers, four amazing brothers, Clifton, Howard, Wayne, and Rodney. And they're all I was thinking about this, they're all very athletic and all kind of got, my older brother, Clifton, he was a really fast runner. I mean, lockdown weight kicking now, so he's not that fast again.
Okay.
But back in the day, he was really fast, and they used to call him Bullet. That's how fast he was.
Before we get Bolt, before we had Bolt, we had Bullet.
He'll love you for that. Yeah. And Howard and Wayne, my other two brothers, they were amazing and still are. Teach judo, like black belts, like the highest you can go. Okay. Really amazing judo tutors. And my brother Rodney, again, and my brother Wayne also played rugby. And my brother Rodney, my baby brother, who is like 6 foot odd now. No baby.
So who's the taller, your mum or your dad? Where is that coming from? Where's the height coming from in the family?
I don't think it was my mum and my dad, but I think it was like grandparents. Okay. But my youngest brother Rodney, he's the tallest in the family. The baby is the tallest, and it's kind of perpetuated. I've done that cycle because I've had 2 boys, and my youngest is my tallest. My oldest is very upset about that.
So what, mum and dad? Where's mum and dad from then?
My mother and father are both from Jamaica.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
What? Really?
Never mind.
Right? Don't play with my island. Listen, I have to tell you something. Actually, it was really, really moving. Just this weekend, it was my aunt's birthday. I mean, the last time I flew to America, it was for one of my other aunt's funeral, and she was 105. I didn't make it before she died, but she was 105. My dad was one of 12 children, so you can imagine that the network, the generations now, we're on like, my mum's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're nearly on 5 generations of Melville just in this country. So the network of 12 brothers and sisters all over the country, all over the world, I mean, is amazing. And on this weekend, there's only, I think, 3, my father's passed away now, God rest his soul. But his sister, Aunt Viola Sadler, is 100 years now.
You see, that's what happens when you eat fresh food. That's what happens when you're eating from the soil, though.
Let me tell you, Rudi, she is so articulate and she looks so good and she's on point. All the families from all over the world were just tuning in on this Zoom thing. That's what technology has given us.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually, because it sounds like you guys actually do stay in touch via the whole Zoom thing, the whole technological thing. I mean, you do so much creatively, but technology is not your strongest, if I'm correct.
Why are you trying to show me up now?
I'm not showing you up.
Yeah, technology is not my strong point. That's why I had 2 children. And now they're at the stage where they can go. And I'm like, Lord of God, I can't get in. It's buffering me out. Something's not working. I can't get on Google Chrome, whatever. Right. And then someone go, Mom, look, just take your time. And we're up and running.
Bam, you're there, isn't it? Bam,
yeah.
You're there.
So it is about having social media, having technology in this way is very important. It's not my time, it's their time. But they're dragging me into the 21st century. And part of our family growing up was about staying connected, especially because my dad was one of 12. And that whole kind of idea, he instilled that in us as we were growing up. So it was very, very important for us to
what was your Sunday? What was your Sundays like? What was your Sundays?
Sundays,
can you imagine just listening to you?
I think so. I think Sundays was very much cleaning the house, the Sunday dinner, the rice and peas and chicken. You got to have it, but also the gram.
That's what I'm saying.
My mom loved music. She loved her music. So and I think again instilled in us because I love vinyl. I have a whole music room right there, double decks. I got my Ministry of Sound double decks because I used to DJ.
You're proper DJ. You're proper. You don't turn up with a USB.
Yep. And the vinyls, and playing those. It was like you used to put the album on And then, yeah, you had the little 2p on the arm.
No, it wasn't a
hold it
2p.
down.
It was not a 2p. It was a threepenny bit.
Oh, yeah, okay. It was something. It was a coin. It was a penny, actually. It might be a bit big.
Halfpenny, that big chunky bronze thing. The halfpenny.
Okay, we put something on it, and when the record got down, pam, then the arm come over, go on, and then the music would kick in, and you know, it was amazing. It was lovely. It was beautiful. Those were our
So then you being the only girl, yeah, is that where the whole I'm going to
I had to do a lot of
I'm going to act for you? Is that where that comes from?
Is that what?
Is that where that comes from? Because you're I know that you're an actress, yeah. So I'm questioning. I'm asking myself, where did the performance side of you come from? Was it because you were performing to the family? Was it because, I mean, you said that, you know, you started. No. You didn't actually start with acting. You started with ballet, if I'm correct.
I started with dance. Yeah. And to go back a little bit, I mean, my growing up, it wasn't about performing for the family. It was about survival in my family. You know, even when you have your food, you just had to make sure you eat your food quick before anybody tried to take anything off your plate. You're like, don't. Okay. And then also, because being the only girl, it was about making sure that all the washing, we had a laundrette that was down the road. So we had the wheelie trolley and used to push the clothes in the wheelie trolley. We never had a dryer. So when they wash, I had to pull it over to the washing, to the laundrette, dry the clothes, bring them back, then iron them. So there was a lot, and then a lot of pressure on me from that side. But, you know, it was part of our growing up. It was rites of passage.
Because as children, us lot had chores.
We had chores. Yeah. And they need to remember it now. The kids today don't have enough chores.
They don't have no chores, man. They don't have chores. If I ask my daughter to do chores, I'm hearing chore what? Chore where? Chore.
Throw it away. Yes.
Skirting board. What is a skirting board? She ain't.
Oh my God. Yeah. We used to, the boys, when they were younger, they can remember. When they were younger, as a weekend, they used to have to wipe down the skirting board. Hoover, wipe down the skirting board and tidy their rooms. And I'm hoping it's instilled in them enough to go on to the next generation. But you're right, when I started, I think my mother really wanted to make sure that we were doing things, that we were active, that we had, so each of us had something to do. And the competition in our household was about who could get the most stamps on their passport. So, we would get occasions when my brothers were doing judo abroad, they'd get a stamp on their passport. Back in the day, every time you went away, you got a stamp. I don't do it so much now. If I went away dancing, I get a stamp on my passport. I come back, I got more than you. But I started off doing ballet and tap. And then I moved into ballroom, Latin American and old time dancing. And
so did you catch Judy Love over the weekend?
No, I haven't seen her.
Oh, man, you gotta watch it, man. You gotta watch it. She's
tearing it up.
Judy, listen, man. When Judy was twerking on that thing there, I was busting up, man. I was creasing. She brought her energy.
Twerking into Latin American dancing.
She twerked, mate. But the thing is that she was doing it in between the beat, and that's what they couldn't. Because everybody was roaring. The whole place was uproar, and it was. I mean, technically, it was terrible, right? But
well, let Judy hear you say that, because you did.
Well, never mind. I feel sorry for Judy because she's giving me so much material. It's unbelievable. I'm looking at the TV going, pick her up. Go on, pick her up. Go on, pick her up, man. Pick her up. Oh, I see your boss, your mark. Pick her up.
She's due to pick up the man, by the sounds of it. That will be the turnaround. But that's the thing. I used to do that before come dancing was even a thing. It wasn't even in the ether. But because and I used to, want to do.
Didn't you feel out of place because it's not something that Black British people was actually doing?
I didn't feel out of place until it was time for competitions and things like that, where I couldn't really compete unless I was competing with another girl or a teacher. And then you are never going to win any of the competitions if you're dancing with a teacher. And then the realization of, well, why there's other boys in the class? Why isn't anybody wanting to dance with me? Oh my God, it's because I'm Black. That realization of, well, they don't want to dance, then that hits home. And then that's when you kind of have to wake up and smell the coffee.
Was that your awakening to the the classism as well as the racial stereotyping that was around in the ether when you were at school and when you were most probably studying. I mean, when you left school, what did you actually do?
Well, I wanted to be a dancer. I just wanted to come straight out and go to, I'll tell you where I wanted to go to, the Laban in New Cross, Goldsmiths College. And I applied, and people were getting grants and things. My dad worked for Ford's and my mother was a cleaner. She did 3 different jobs. And you know, when I think about it now, I applied for the Laban and they said my parents earned too much money. And so I didn't get the grant. And so I couldn't go. And traumatized me.
Are you serious? Your parents earned too much money. So
yeah, my dad working in Ford's and my mum being a cleaner was too much money. So for whatever reasoning, I didn't get that grant and I couldn't go. So I had to start dancing. For me, kind of fulfill my ambition was dancing at the Pineapple and Covent Garden. And working with different choreographers. And so I did a lot of music videos because those choreographers would get booked to do music videos. And so then they would say, Joe, what are you doing this weekend, whatever. And I'd go and do lots of music videos. So one of the who knew, I had to say this to somebody the other day, I didn't know, but I got asked to do this music video for this guy, girl, lots of makeup, lots of ribbons. And it turned out to be Boy George. And it was like brilliant. And that then became an iconic tune that is still being played today. And whenever that video comes up, it's like, oh my God, I was in that.
So if we look properly, we will actually spot you.
Yeah. No, you don't even have to look hard.
Hold on, let me go on YouTube. Let me see what I can find.
Oh, you're going to do that? Okay. Okay.
Let me see what I can find on YouTube.
Yeah, okay. My point is that I did a lot of music videos and Top of the Pops. And remember Top of the Pops when we used to have dancers on there? So I was doing one of those dancers. Not Pan's People. I wasn't one of those.
Okay.
But you would have set dancers that were brought in especially. And then there was Curly Perm. She's talking about Curly Perm. Who's talking about Curly Perm? Miss Shugs, talking about curly perm. Did I have a curly perm? Yes, I did have a curly perm back in the day, but it didn't last very long because I couldn't take all the oils and it was breaking my hair. Okay. See, all those stories all years on. I now do a project called Know Your Roots, looking at Black women and their hair, but we'll get to that.
No, we'll definitely get to that. So something that people don't really know about you, because we know that you're an actress, but I don't think anybody was really aware of the fact of just exactly how much dance you'd actually done. Do you know what I mean? But everyone's coming from somewhere, kind of like thing. Was there a teacher who influenced you, or was it just your mum and your dad who kind of like pushed you?
I think I have to give it to my mother and father. They were so positive. They were so very much about, you know, have something that you can do apart from the academia. That was very, very important. But having an alternative thing that we could do as well was going to come in useful maybe in the future. So that side, I mean, even we learned to swim. My mother had us getting up and going swimming. Like I'd have to go swimming, sometimes training at 6 o'clock in the morning. And in a way, that was good because you kind of blew out the cobwebs and you were fresh and ready for school. But then that helped us because then we became part of the swim team. We did relays and competitions. And so that was really good. And then, so by the time I was in school and I was like 12, I was part of a team that swam the channel.
Okay. Because then you had quite an active teenage life, man, right up to like 18, 19, you're very, very active. I mean, is that you at the back there with the ribbon?
Yeah, there was only 2 black girls there. And there's one in the front and there's me at the back with the ribbons. Yeah, because I had to have my ribbons. I couldn't manage my hair really. And that was really hard because when I went away, it was like, just turn out to one big tough afro.
Yeah, especially when you jump.
Because I couldn't manage it. I say one big tough afro. I shouldn't say it in that. It's my natural hair. But I wasn't able to, I didn't know how to plait at that time.
Yeah, but once the chloroform got hold of that, do you know what I mean? It was automatic that it was going to it would turn into a sponge.
And this picture that you're looking at is with the West Ham football team.
Okay.
So that was like a really big deal, but I don't look so happy.
No, I was actually gonna say that as well. But you said it was a channel swim.
Yes.
So and you sort of like did it. What did you guys do it consecutively? One would jump in, one would jump out. How did that work?
In a relay, we did an hour in, and then what would happen is you get in the little tugboat,
Mm-hmm.
which you then swim off of the big boat. You
Mm-hmm.
get off the big boat into the tugboat, and it would be rowed out, and the swimmer then would be in the water for an hour, and then as you get to the end of the hour, the other swimmer would get in, and the other swimmer would get into the tugboat. They would go back to the big ship, and the other swimmer would swim. And that for that training, we had to do a lot of open air swimming, lots of lidos, even the serpentine. We used to go and train in the serpentine, and we used to have Vaseline caked all over us so that we were to avoid jellyfish or whatever. It was just to insulate us, to keep us warm.
I would have thought just to keep you warm, because I remember when they used to show us people doing the channel and stuff like that, you would see them all greased up. You know what I mean? As they got in. But my thing is, how did you manage to float, man? I mean, when I swim, well, I was told that it's actually a technique. It's a proper technique of filling your lungs with air. The other way around. Filling your lungs with air, yeah, so as that you could sort of like be buoyant, and then you had to have this breathing technique, right? Because when I swim, I fight to stay above the water.
Okay.
I mean, fight.
This is so, it's really funny, because that was my saying was, when I swim, fish clap. All right, that's what the saying is. And it's not about, I have another dear friend, one of my closest friends, her name is Jackie Antoine, and she's a Black female swimming instructor that has just had challenges over the years as an instructor because of the ignorance of that. You would hear people saying that Black people can't swim. How can we not swim? And we have some very good swimmers, and she's an amazing swimmer, and she has taught many children how to swim. And one of her things is to kind of eventually have her own pool, and to be able to train the youth so that we could ultimately have Black British swimmers going into the Olympics.
Whoa.
So swimming is a big thing for us. And I think it's very important that we teach our children to swim.
I think it's exceptionally important that we teach them how to swim.
Teach your children to swim. Get them into the pools. We've got the opportunities here. A lot of the time in the Caribbean, they don't have those kind of opportunities, but we do. So really encourage your children to swim, because it will come in handy for them.
I mean, because the thing is that I did actually swim for my school as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
See, that's good. Did you win?
I swam for my school.
Okay. What was your favorite stroke?
Front crawl. It was always front crawl. I mean, because the thing is, I found that with backstroke, I could just lie down. Do you know what I mean? And I could tread. It was almost like treading water, but on your back.
Well, my favorite stroke, breaststroke, yeah, but no, butterfly.
No. That's a stupid. I don't see the point. Why? Who invented that? Because nobody ever stops and thinks to themselves, you know what?
Listen,
we're in the middle of the sea. We're in the middle of the sea. We're a mile away.
I really wanted to swim. Listen, see, what is she saying? Miss Sugar saying, yes, I know those days. I really wanted to swim the channel, but never got that for only synchronized swimming teaching at 17. I did synchronized swimming, Miss Sugar. I did synchronized swimming.
Here's a question for you, Sugar. Here's a question for you. When have you ever been in trouble in the sea and looked across and see land and thought to yourself, you know what?
Freezing?
I think I'm gonna butterfly this.
Come back to me, Rudy.
Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that's a stupid stroke. I mean, you need to be a dolphin to do that stroke. That's a dolphin stroke. You
froze just then, my love, so she didn't hear that.
I was saying that is a stroke for dolphins. The butterfly. Yeah.
Listen. Moving from there, I'm telling you about the butterfly, but when Miss Sugar said that about synchronized swimming, it's so rare when I talk about synchronized swimming, they say, look, what's that? And I say ballet in the water. So from dancing on the ground to dancing in the water was a transition, and I've never met anybody really. So I'm so glad, Priscilla. I am glad you would listen. It was an amazing thing to be able to do. And we used to have the nose peg. So it's so funny, when we wrote that BiBi Crew sketch, that was all about the fact that, I used to have to wear a nose peg when I went swimming. And I thought, if I keep that on, why? I might get my straight nose. I'm going to lose that. I can get a straighter nose.
Yeah, but I thought, you know what I also attribute that to? Black people hating on themselves.
Well, we didn't know. We didn't know, and we were just led to believe certain things were the way that they needed to be. You need to have this, you need to look like this, you need to have your straight hair, it needs to be long. We've done all those things. I mean, I'm sure if I say about, you know, part of the BiBi Crew was one of our sketches from birth to death. In there, it was the growing up, the cycle of growing up, and one of the sketches was about us as young girls playing out with the cardigans on our heads.
Yes.
And having the cardigan on. Oh, you know that. Because I never thought I would have long hair. I never.
You didn't have long hair?
Well, it kind of kept breaking off. It wouldn't really grow. It would never have been as long as this.
Too much swimming. It was a swimming. It's a chloroform that's what cut out your hair.
Yeah, maybe. Again, didn't know. And for me, it was about. I'm very competitive, so I really wanted to do well, and I wanted to do well in this. I wanted to do well in that. I played basketball as well, but I was very fast, but
yeah, but you're short. You're a little bit though.
I couldn't shoot. I was like basketball and netball. So I
can see the netball. I can't see the basketball. You're too little bit, man. Yeah, don't worry. That's my screen. Most probably my screen cutting in and out. Yeah, but you're a little bit, man, to be playing basketball. But you're highly
and netball.
You're very physical. Everything about you is very physical, very powerful, very. I guess that's where that competitive, we can do it kind of like nature comes from.
Don't let anybody tell you can't. You know, you got to go out there and try. Do your best. That's what my mum says. Do your best, and then I kind of, turn that into whatever it is, feel the fear and do it anyway, which is a very famous saying and from a book. And the whole idea of you got to try, don't give up, man. Have passion, have drive, have that perseverance for something that you want to do. So yeah.
Then where does the acting actually kick in?
That was my longest hair.
Yeah.
Again, but that was straightened. That was, So, and I used to go to a hair salon called Splinters in the West End.
Yeah, but that's very posh.
Yeah, with my little money from my videos that I used to do, and plus I had a Saturday job as well. So that was really important back in the day growing up to have a little Saturday job.
Yeah, because I used to do milk round, corner shop, paper round, all them things there.
My God. I used to work in Lesney's, the little toy car. Many people won't even know about it. They have these Matchbox toy cars, and then they used to be like a factory, and and they used to come and used to clock in, and you get in there, and then the little cars would come along, and you go ka-chung-kong, ka-chung-kong, ka-chung. But then one night I was so tired, man, I got to ka-chung-kong.
So this is actually one of your first photo shoots for acting, isn't it?
Yes, that was one of my first photo shoots. That was me saying you had to have, they call them a Z card, and this was your card that would give you your picture to say what you're like, and then have your agent on.
So did you go straight into an agency? How did you get involved in the acting?
So that was my first Z card.
Okay. So who introduced you to an agent then?
Well, oh my God, you used to have to work so many weeks, have done so many weeks of professional work to get an equity card.
Yes, I remember that.
I had done my professional weeks dancing abroad in Dubai, before Dubai was a thing with all its fancy buildings now, and Bahrain and Europe. So I was dancing abroad, gaining my weeks because I knew. And then once I got my equity card, I joined Sylvia Young Agency when they were in Leytonstone. So this is before they went to, I think where they go? Near Paddington. They got someone near Paddington, their big school now.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvia Young, and that was amazing. And she was my agent, and it kind of, I the transition from dance to acting was quite easy once I had the card, but also it gave me the added advantage of being able to do musicals and other shows, because I wasn't being just the actor, which sometimes became a bit of an issue, because over here in England, it's very much like, oh, you're the actor, or you're the dancer, or you're the singer. But then, because I was doing a lot of Top of the Pops, and one of my friends who was in who was that? Ruby, what's the name? She was a choreographer. Anyway, she did, I think it was named Ruby. Anyway, one of the dancers was a good friend of mine. He was auditioning for something, so I just went with him. He said, I was round, and he said, come on, I'm just going to go and do this, and then we can go off and have a picnic or go and have a drink or whatever. So I said, yeah, all right. And you're always ready, because I always had my dance gear on. I had something on that was very movable. And so I went to the audition. Then they said, oh, are you? And I went, yeah. Fast myself. Fast myself. Next thing you know, two twos, Maloos, I get the job.
Okay.
And he didn't. So didn't really talk to me after that.
You know what? That's always the case. The person who just comes along, you know what I mean? And then they get, you try it, you, and then they find themselves in, I mean, that's what happened with, oh God, James, what's his name? Oh God.
Who? James Akínbọ́lá?
Not James Akínbọ́lá, Jenny.
Who?
No, it's my wife's cousin, you know, James.
Okay, well, what I was going to say was, in doing this job, it took me to Israel. And they were all American. They were only auditioning for one person. That one person ended up being me. So I got taken to Israel, joined a whole American cast, and they were doing a musical, and they had like TV shows, and they were touring Israel, and it was big things. And I was like, oh my God, my eyes were rabbit in headlights. And these guys were like, They was doing it all. They could sing, they could dance, they could act, they was doing it all. So when they were flicking up their legs and doing all their things and jumping into the splits, I was like, okay. And so then I was like, I don't think I can give it this British attitude. And they went, if she don't want that, I'll take her number. Okay. That's when I realized that no. So when they would be saying, we're all going out for a drink. You want to come for a drink, Joe? I'd be like, I'm just not feeling so good. As soon as they left, I would be working out, dropping into the splits, trying to just get myself looser and stronger and better so that I could keep up.
Compete.
And that's what I'm talking about, perseverance. That's what I'm talking about, just going for it attitude.
But then what happened though? Because no doubt you've gone into that environment, you've seen that people are capable of doing more than just being pigeonholed into just the dance or the acting or the singing or whatever, and then you come back to the UK and
as a triple threat then, right. I'm not ashamed of it. Do you know what I mean? And now people talk about triple threat, but back in the day that wasn't the thing. Yeah. So for me, it's like coming back, okay, I could still dance on videos, I could do a musical, I could do lots of pantos, did lots of those. I could do straight plays without the dancing or the singing, I could do backing vocals on a track. Do you know what I mean? So that gave me more opportunities. And that in a way is kind of why eventually I call myself a creative practitioner.
Right. That makes sense now.
A creative practitioner, because then that houses the dancing, the acting, and the singing, but also houses the directing, because I direct, I produce events, I'm a published writer, I write, having the opportunity to have been part of the BiBi Crew.
Because why and when did the BiBi Crew form?
Wow. Easily, when did they form? Round about, that would have been, I can't even remember, like you taking me so far back. I know that unfortunately, Joanne Campbell passed away in 2002, and that was a major shock. So we're talking 90.
Because I can see Janet Kay in this photograph. I can see all of our established actresses.
Look how short my hair is.
All in this photo.
Yeah. Absolutely.
all in this photo, and a lot of you are playing the more prominent roles that we see today.
Well, you've got Judith Jacob, Janet Kay, Suzanne Packer, Joanne Campbell, Beverly Michael, Suzette Llewellyn, myself, and we used to create a show where we would have guests, and our guests on that occasion was Linford Christie and Colin Jackson. And we've had some amazing guests over the years, but this was the early years. You got to be talking like early 90s, like 91, 92, 93, 94, that kind of time. And we were writing, producing, and directing our shows.
But what I find very interesting was what the artistic director had to say.
Which
one of the disgraces of British theatre, quite frankly, is that there's only one producing theatre in this country which produces its own shows with black people in charge, and it's nowhere near enough. It should be part of the British way of life. I think it's the biggest gap in British theatrical life.
You didn't know that, did you?
Show.
Yeah, because
well done.
This is the thing is that what he's pointing out to us there is that at that time, I know that it was because of Calvin Simpson why you all basically came together, who's Junior Simpson's brother, by the way, to the people who are listening. But when the BiBi Crew actually came together, yeah, there was no theatre as such. There was no us doing our own thing from beginning to end. You mentioned all those things you're doing, writing, directing, producing, etc., etc., etc. But those roles were not readily available at that point in time, was it?
So then that's when I have to give major kudos to somebody like Philip Headley, who you just saw, who was just talking. He's the artistic director of the Theatre Royal Stratford East. And he was so generous and so open and so wanting us to achieve. He just rolled out the carpet and said, what do you want to do? I'm going to help you. I'm going to support you, from behind the scenes, from the production side to the creative side. He was there. And that's why the Theatre Royal Stratford East is our home. It's now called Stratford East. And after Philip Headley, there was Kerry Michaels, who also took on the mantle, and Kerry was my mentor at one stage and assisted with showing me the ropes of how you apply and trying to navigate your way through applying for Arts Council funding. And we were fortunate enough to have been given quite a bit of money, to do a national middle scale tour. And that was unheard of at the time.
But the thing is,
taking over, running their thing, and want to do a middle scale tour, not just going to community centres. No,
because you was going Birmingham, you was going to
Manchester,
you was going to Manchester, you was going to Cardiff,
Liverpool, and it was an amazing time. And the thing is, it just really felt like the country was starved of black talent. I mean,
but we didn't have. What did we have at that point in time, though, Josephine? What did we have in terms of touring companies?
We didn't have a touring circuit, and we didn't have touring companies in that way. So it was kind of a bit of an explosion in us doing that. And we were hot on the heels of the Posse, who were first out of the gates. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Which was amazing. So it was like the male group, and then you had the female group coming. So you had the male perspective and you had the female perspective of saying, do you know what? There's a void of Black British women, our voice, we want to be heard. And we know there's a market out there that wants to hear it.
Yeah, because I mean, it was basically off the back of that is when the stand-up came in, because we ran off the back of you lot.
Well, giving everybody their due and credit where credit lies is, when you have people like Angela Marr was coming up, Luella Gideon, all of these people were just starting to create their own shows. They were creating their own shows and getting out there as well. And Angie created a whole kind of company and, support around her that enabled her to kind of to take it even further, because I remember doing, oh my God, I didn't give you that one, Funny Black Women on the Edge with Angie.
Right.
And that was awesome. We had the best time.
Because you lot went up to Edinburgh with that, if I'm correct.
Did
you go to Edinburgh? Was you part of that? Because I know that she had quite a few different actresses.
Yeah, she took a girls show, something about the girls, which was the young girls. It was a young girl version that she about young girls' story. It was, so it wasn't.
No. I'm still Funny Black Women. She took Funny Black Women up to Edinburgh as well. Yeah, with EP8 Rochester and them guys went up there. With her. But what I find interesting in it now is that you're actually saying to me that you got involved in behind the scenes in terms of the business side of theatre, in terms of the grant funding with theatre, because you started now communicating with the Arts Council. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. And that connection, you network and you meet people. And by that time, and again, credit, because I didn't do it on my own, Posters and Poetry, the exhibition was formed with Roger Griffiths and myself. And we created this exhibition because it was like, we wanted the living archive. We wanted some recognition of our work and who we were and what we were doing and the legacy of that, to be able to show the next generation, to say, don't reinvent the wheel, people. We've been doing it from time. Look, there's this show and this show and this show. And look where that person has gone. That person was the writer for this. And now they're, Eddie Nestor's up in the flipping BBC, Robbie G's still doing what he's doing. People are all over the place, and I'm just using little examples. I'm talking major.
I think those are great examples, and it just shows just how big the explosion was. But if we start to track your journey, as you started, like you said, you started doing the pantomimes, you started, even this side of you, the charitable side of you, I find that quite quaint. I love this photograph. I really do. I really like this photograph that you've got here. And
Tamika.
That's you and Tamika. Now Tamika is in what?
Huge.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So you guys were really opening doors. Tell us about this one. Tell us about here.
This was amazing. I was the baddie. It's the first time I played like the lead baddie. The costumes for her were amazing. Morticious. She was, and this was a contemporary version of kind of Sleeping Beauty. So you had the kind of stylized storytelling piece in the first half, and by the time you got to the second half, she was all futuristic, my witch. And let me tell you, she was dropping some moves. I had these high heel platform boots. I mean, even those are about like 6 inches, but these other ones in the second half were just amazing, and it was all kind of futuristic and electronic, and it was awesome. So I had the best time. But you know what? You cannot take a pantomime for granted. You really can't. It's a lot of work, especially when you kind of kick into the height of the Christmas season and you're doing like 3 shows a day. So I applaud people when they do pantomime.
Well, I applaud you. I actually applaud you for seeing the opportunities that were available to you, and you just not allowing yourself to be pigeonholed. We're not talking about stereotypes here. We're talking about being pigeonholed into feeling or thinking I'm only capable of doing one thing, because you also co-founded the Aarawak Moon.
With Joe Martin, the amazing Joe Martin, Jackie Joe Martin, and Tracy Daly, who you can just see over the top. I should have had a bit better picture. So that, because this was an inspirational time. I mean, the BiBi Crew, we got to a stage where we went our separate ways for a little while because people started having babies and we didn't have a maternity plan in place. And the actual real story is that we applied for some Arts Council funding, and then we were just assuming that it was going to be fine, and booked the tour and went ahead. And then they said, no, we're not giving you the funding this time. And we're like,
what?
So we kind of had to really downscale, to stop all the shows. We had to stop everything and rethink our whole situation, because financially it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
But didn't you take this to New York?
Hold on. That was the BiBi Crew show I'm talking about. This show, Shoot to Win. The reason I told you about the BiBi Crew was because I couldn't have done Shoot to Win or been a part of Aarawak Moon. I think the timing was just so, it just so happened that the BiBi Crew were on hold and we weren't doing anything. But Joe Martin, Tracy Daly, and myself, we were friends from way back. And so we used to just gather and talk about what our aspirations were, what we would want to do, if we could do it. We got stories to tell. And based on that whole kind of BiBi Crew principle, it was like, well, we can write our own stuff. Yeah, so we did.
Because I used to go to Blaggers regular.
Okay, you did that before you even get there. All right, my God, where you taking me, Rudi? Where you taking me? All right, all right. Let me back up. So, Aarawak Moon was about what can we do?
Yeah.
So, Joe Martin, Tracy Daly, and myself, with Jane Wallbank, who was administering and assisting us and helping and supporting us, who is now Jane Wallbank, really, gone to a whole other level. We created a show called Blaggers, which was an improvisational comedy show.
Yes.
Because Joe Martin had been invited to do a comedy show in the West End, and there were no black performers there. And she was like, we could do this. So we created our own version. It was called Blaggers. We went to Philip Headley because he was always accommodating and he knew us, and he said, yes, bring it here. And we took it to the Theatre Royal, and it tore up. It just like, we sent people, I think, who was it? There was somebody, oh my God, was it Sylvester?
Yeah,
Sylvester Williams, or there was some actors that after, I think Curtis was one of them, Curtis Walker at the Theatre Royal Stratford East there, yeah. After they finished the Blaggers show, they would have to sit in a dark room to kind of just let it all wash over you, because it could be so terrifying to go out there with no script and just out there and really have to know your game. You had to work it, and that was a wonderful feeling. And it was a kind of a testing time as well for you as an artist. If you weren't doing much, go and do Blaggers, because then you really know your worth. You know,
I was begging you lot to let me come on that, man. I was begging. Nobody paid me no mind. Nobody was paying me no mind. But it seems like the Theatre Royal Stratford has played a major role in
my life.
Yeah,
absolutely, in my life and a lot of people's life. Those boards, that theatre has a lot of history and a lot of legacy. Oh God, this was the statue that's in the background is of Joan Littlewood, and this was a celebration of the statue being unveiled. And Barbara Windsor was there. Lots of nice people, but I was really privileged to have been asked to read Joan Littlewood's mantra, her speech, her thing, her methodology that is up on a plaque in the Theatre Royal Stratford East, and they asked me to read it, and out in this big occasion, auspicious occasion, and it was amazing. And then it wasn't, so that was my real close contact with Barbara, and then it wasn't, it was a couple of years later, and then she passed. And so for me, it was like very moving that I am still part of that history and that legacy. I have to say, because you're jumping me so fast, I can't even keep up with myself. But after we did Blaggers, we wrote Shoot to Win. Shoot to Win was the netball play that had some stunning actresses in it on stage. And that was the show that I helped to book around the country, and that was the middle scale tour. And one of the first places that came on board was the Palace Theatre in Southend. We would have a pack that we sent out to say, this is the play, this is how much it costs, these are the actors that are in it, and this is what the play's about. And one of the first ones that came on board was the Palace Theatre. So that's how I got to know Southend. And working with Joe and Tracy was an amazing journey that we had, going from Blaggers to the Lunar Lounge, which Louella Gideon would host for us. It was like a kind of cotton club kind of vibe with, the whole kind of cigarette boxes vibe, kind of taking us back in the 60s, variety lounge kind of performance. From Blaggers being an adult Blaggers, we had the younger people saying, we can do this. And so then we had an adult Blaggers, we had junior Blaggers, we had the Lunar Lounge, and then we wrote the play. The play went on a national middle scale tour, and then it got, it was, somebody wanted to do it actresses wanted to do it in America.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was an amazing time, amazing journey. And even now, that play is so rich in content that I think over 20 years, that should be done again. And really, I say, you know, Stratford East, Nina should really be looking to kind of remount that show. Really,
Okay.
I think it should be done. It should be done again. It was amazing. I mean, from there, excerpts were used in drama schools for women's monologues. We put our heart.
Is that where the workshop thing started to come together?
No, the workshops would happen anyway because that was always part of what I would do when I wasn't working. Interactive workshops for Actor Shop that was based in East London. So I was part of a group of people that were delivering workshops, okay, under one banner. And then I started to go off and deliver my own because I was asked, will I do inspirational speaking to empower the youth? And so leading from that, I would do workshops in not just in schools, but in corporate environments as well. And looking at breaking barriers in terms of glass ceilings for people in work environments, or whether it be about bullying, or whether it be about across the board. You would go to the school, if a school or an environment or an establishment wanted a workshop, and you'd work out what their criteria was. They want a workshop in this. I'd go away and create a plan, and then I'd come back and deliver it. Not necessarily on my own. It may be them have the opportunity to say, Julie, Terry, we'll come quick. We can do something, can get a little change.
So then where does the Royal Opera House come in then?
The Royal Opera House was, so then when I got down to Southend, being a creative here and one of few Black creators, one of the other creators was Scotty B, an amazing graffiti artist. And so I created this workshop about is it art or is it malicious damage? So the young child was in school, he did some spray painting, some graffiti art, and so you do this for a whole assembly, and then the child would say, you know, the friend would say, oh my God, we're going to get in trouble. Then the head teacher would come, and then the teacher would say, who did this? And then the child would go and ask the rest of the audience, do I tell them or do I not tell them? Do I tell them that he did it? So it's always interactive in that way. You get the audience to kind of assist you with the outcome. How the outcome of that story was that actually it could be the teacher liked the graffiti, just not on that wall. Why don't we give you a canvas and then you can do it, and then we can put it into competitions and it won a big competition. So there's something positive out of what you can do. So the reason I'm telling that story is because Scotty B, Brave Arts, awesome, and he's gone on to do some fabulous things. I mean, even I say in Southend there's a cultural quarter, and it's like a car park, but he's used all of the walls and created all of this amazing artwork. Now, Scotty and I were part of this call out for artists in Southend. We went down there, only 2 Black people, we had connected, and we were then part of a team that delivered to nearly every single school in the Essex area a creative partnership, which was learning in a different way. So it didn't necessarily have to be in the classroom. So then what is the theme? The theme is about games. So then we would look at the history of games, and I would then create a workshop that says, okay, let's look at what did we, back in the day, we used to have 2 sticks and be happy with 2 pens. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And like a hula hoop or something. Nobody knows that they can't skip anymore. They can't, so all of those things, we were bringing them back and reinvigorating the children. Because, now when you deliver workshops in schools, what you're finding is that, children, they don't even want to look at you. They don't even want to have that eye contact anymore.
No.
They're so used to this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about that. And it's so hard for them to put it down that...
It's hard for me to put it down, to be honest with you. Never mind them. It's hard for me to put it down. I'll be real. It is. I've been sucked in. I've been sucked in by it. But...
Well, that's when we have to get that. That's when we have to realize that actually There's got to be a time when we say, all right, let me put it down. Especially, all right, come on now, round your dinner table. You're not letting everybody look at the phone around the dinner table, are you?
Well, I'm texting to my daughter, I'm gonna eat my potato in a minute. And she's texting back to me, are you gonna use your fork?
Rudi, it's wrong.
No, we don't.
Take the phones away. At
We
least
don't. We really don't. But what I want to know is, what didn't you find it daunting to direct this? Did you find that daunting?
Well, no, because I had a very good teacher. Can't you see Paulette Randall is right there, and she was the best.
Tell them what she's actually done. Tell them what she's actually directed. I mean, she did the Olympics.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you just really have to knock that down.
Sorry.
You have to say there. You go there with that. But Paula has had her hands in so many pies. She even directed our Shoot to Win. She directed our Shoot to Win for us.
Okay.
Shoot to Win, the play about the netball team, she directed. She's done so much work. Not just in theatre, on television as well, across the board. I think I need to see her do more films, actually. I want to see Paulette direct some films. But that was an amazing cast, and I had the opportunity to assist her on that. And this was in Edinburgh, so we went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for that.
Whoa! Are you that?
Yeah, and Clark Peters and the guys. Yeah, it was an awesome.
That must have been an amazing experience. That must have been an amazing experience, man.
Yeah, it really was. So I'm thankful, and I am blessed, and I am really appreciative of all the variety of things that I've been able to do. Because
I mean, there's so much. We're just not. I mean, we've done over the hour already, and I don't want to take up.
Are you kidding?
Easily, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But what I do want to do is I want to focus or pull back a little bit more on the on the exhibition. If you just give me a moment, I'd like to show people some of this.
The Posters and Poetry exhibition came from a dream, a vision to bring together the vast amount of talent, past and present, so everyone can appreciate the history of Black theatre, and we can empower the creators of the future. There is so much talent out there, so let's capture their imaginations with this historical treasure. The spoken word. Storytelling became a tradition of Caribbean culture and documents our history.
Come on, brother man, be our leader. Stand strong as a solid Black warrior. Be responsible and take over. Cause we don't need no more headless soldiers. We don't need no more headless soldiers.
I mean, I gotta say kudos to you, because I mean, you've dragged the whole 100-year history of what we've been doing in theatre, and you've brought it out for people to actually come, look, this is what we've actually achieved. This is what we've actually done. Because I find that we tend to look across the Atlantic in search of all of these heroes and sheroes, and I think they're right underneath our nose.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, for me, the opportunity, we call it the Posters and Poetry family, because the moment we started to go out and say, this is what we're doing, Philip Headley, again, I have to keep mentioning that man. He was one of the first people to give us a poster, and the poster that he dedicated to the exhibition was from 1911, and it said "Real Negroes on Stage." Now, with that, the political correctness and of that at that time, this is what they would be saying, and it was fine. So we go from there, and we, you know, do that transition until we get to present day, and even now, it's still not up to date, because so many things have happened, so many more shows have come in. You've got like Debbie Tucker Green, you've got Arinze Kane, you've got so many different people that are just.
Well, I'm just hoping that there's going to be a young person who might watch this and possibly get in touch with you, and give you some help with this, because it is a hell of a lot of work. And I remember when I decided to do the Black Comedy Club, and I had I put on. I was actually trying to find a home for Black British comedy, and you helped me with some of the photographs and the images that I needed at that point in time. But you didn't tell me what you was doing there. You didn't tell me, so you was putting down an exhibition. Yeah. See you.
Well, sometimes there's things you talk about, and it's the moments, you know, because oh God, there's so many more things that I could tell you, and I feel like this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg.
It's just the tip, really. and I accept that because
I'm thankful.
I do accept that, but you're also a governor, aren't you? You're a governor.
Yeah, now that's interesting because you did mention that. I think it's important to say that I was a governor of my son's school when he was at school, because I think it's important for us to know about and to be proactive for things to change, to make sure that we've got equity and governance. And the governance is that you got to be in the room. So when my boys were at school, I didn't get in, first of all. They blocked me until they couldn't block me no more. And I became the governor of the school. But the most important thing was that I was a trustee. My journey at the Theatre Royal Stratford East as a young girl in the workshops, performing, doing mail-outs, on stage, backwards, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. I then eventually became a trustee on the board of governors of the Theatre Royal Stratford East. Wow. So that for me was amazing. I am now I'm an honorary board member at the Theatre Royal Stratford East still, and I'm also now on the board of Metal, an organisation here in Southend that is run by Jude Kelly, who used to be the artistic director of the Southbank. Many people might know her. The CEO here is Colette Bailey, and they have a building in Southend, in Peterborough, and in Liverpool. Again, it's about kind of creating work and giving artists the opportunity to kind of build and grow. So I'm on the board of that. I am the founder of the South Essex African Caribbean Association. For me, about
so tell us a little bit about them, because I've actually got a little. I think, let me scroll this across the bottom.
Okay, yeah, there's a website there. So people can tap into the website and have a look at that to see the kind of work that we do up here in Southend. We just had a dominoes tournament. Honest to God, it was awesome.
It was noisy. That's what it was. It was noisy. It was double six.
It was very noisy.
Mel Blanc.
We had a collaboration with an organisation in Colchester, an elderly group there, who wanted to come and try and beat us at dominoes. They did. Okay, so there's going to be a bit of a rematch. The ball has been thrown down. But so there's lots of things that we do. I also created a community steel pan band up here in Southend because we didn't have one, and I felt that that would be a really good thing for our community to show our kind of cultural heritage, blah, blah, blah.
Well, you brought in, it's nice to hear a Jamaican bring in the Trinidadians. That's very nice to hear. That's very nice to hear. Very nice.
It's the flavors of, when you hear a steel pan band, it's just so harmonious and so heartwarming. So that has happened, so that when we have because we have a carnival down here in Southend, but I think it needs an injection of life and energy, and that's where we're coming from. And we're looking to do lots more things up here in Southend. So I'm encouraging people to come down here to take part and to come and see what we have to offer, because there's a lot of things down here that's going on. What else haven't I mentioned? Oh, yes. So then I got invited to do, I was the coordinator and the host for a festival down here. It was called the Hamlet Court Road in Harmony Festival. And everybody was like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We waylaid three times. We had to push it back because of COVID, because of everything that happened. But eventually the festival happened. It was the most beautiful day. We had a wealth of talent on stage performing. We got amazing talent up in here in Southend in Essex,
So have we in London.
Let me tell you. But we had over 2,000 people attend, and it was a wonderful.
Oh, wicked! So what have you done? Film? Have you done film?
Yes, I've been in some during the lockdown. Actually, I did 2 films. I was in one, and I directed a short film that is just about to be released, and that's called Assistance, and I'm waiting to see how that goes. But also I was in another film that got released, and it's called Slammer, so waiting to see how that rolls out. But you still audition, you still are out there, but the most important thing is to, like I said, be diverse, so that you don't fall into that treadmill of, it's never going to happen, it's not going to work, what am I going to do? If that's not working, try something else.
Yeah.
Somebody here said, who is it? Priscilla was saying, what did the BiBi Crew stand for? It stand, I think we said it in one of the clips. It's like woman and sister in Urdu. So there was thought behind the name. We didn't just, there was a lot of thought when we said what we're going to call ourselves. The BiBi Crew. Oh, we're still going. Oh my gosh, we're working on.
The thing is that there was. I mean, you started the BiBi Crew kind of like started out like this, as you know.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went to that.
Yeah, we got more stories to tell, and so we are gathering at the moment. We're in rehearsals at the moment for. We're going to do a podcast. That's what we're looking at. So if people keep your ears to the ground, because it will be in South London. We're looking to take over a venue and do a live podcast of our sketch show. So if you are interested, if you're in South London or surrounding areas, you don't have to be in South London. You can get on the train, get in your car and come. The venue and the times and dates will be up on social media at some point. We have the BiBi Crew. The BiBi Crew has a website as well. So if you look up BiBi Crew, BiBi Crew, you will get to the BiBi Crew website and you'll be able to see information on the BiBi.
Now, the one thing that we haven't mentioned is we haven't mentioned radio.
Oh my God! Are we? How far over are we? Are we really?
We're 90 minutes over, but
Oh my God! Okay, so just quickly, this is The Airport, a comedy radio sketch show that we did for the BBC. BBC.
The great late Felix Dexter is in that image as well.
Yeah. Roger Griffiths, Jackie Jo Martin, Eddie Nesta, and Luella Gideon, and myself. We were the writers for a comedy sketch show called The Airport that was nominated for a BBC Light Entertainment Award.
That went on Radio 4, I believe.
Yes. It was wonderful to do. Great times again.
Well, finally, let's talk about Still Breathing.
Yes. During COVID, Suzanne Packer and Suzette Llewellyn had put forward the idea of let's do something. What can we do to make a difference, to get us through this time? And 100 Voices, Black Voices on Racism was the outcome. And this is an amazing book. Amazing. There are over 100 people in there, not just actors. You've got across the board, you've got scientists, you've got MPs, you've got swimmers, you've got artists, and it's a beautiful book. It's a hard copy book, and it's published by HarperCollins. It's distributed right now.
That's what it is. It's expensive.
No, you know what? It's worth its weight in gold. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Go to your Waterstones and say, have you got Still Breathing? 100 Black Voices on Racism. Just do it, because honestly, this is one that you need to have on your bookshelf.
You know what? Ordinarily, I would say, and what next for you, Josephine? But I know that with you, sky is the limit. Skies are the limit, and you are such an inspirational spirit. You really are. I mean, not once have we allowed the glass ceiling to get in the way. Not once have we allowed sexism to get in the way. Not once have we allowed racism to get in the way, because we circumnavigated that by working amongst ourselves with our own and creating our own. It's something that I try to champion myself, but it's people like yourself, the posse, the BiBi Crew, who have allowed me to think the way that I do. And no matter how tough things may be, right, I always look for another way, because I see you guys always looking for another way, and turning my hand to other things. Hence why I've produced this podcast myself, because I do have forerunners in front of me. I do have pioneers in front of me. And that's why it was so important for me that when I started to do Keep It Real, I didn't want the next person that's happening. I wanted people to understand that there are shoulders that these next things that are happening are standing on, because those stories, in my opinion, have never been told.
I just want to say thank you for inviting me. It's been a real joy and a pleasure. And I don't know where the time went, honestly.
Well, you got so much to say. That's what it is. It all started off with you swimming. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Keeping It Real. My name is Rudi Lickwood. My guest tonight was Josephine Melville. Could we please give her a round of applause? Can we get some hand clapping going on in there? You know, all those people who are watching at the moment. Please do. Just give her a nice little, another great show, Rudi Lickwood. How talented and driven Josephine is. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that comment. I'd love to hear a few more comments from you guys before we let.
Oh my gosh, Angie's out there. Bless you, Angie.
Angela Mong, yes, definite legend. See, even Angie knows. Angie will tell you. Angie will tell you, man. I'm not just saying it. As
Thank
always,
you so much,
quality, as always.
In
In fact, Angie,
company.
to be honest with you, Angie was one of the first people in my first set of series where I started interviewing people, and she opened herself up to me and she said to me, "Yes, Rudi, you know, because you know it's daunting to pick up the phone and ask somebody, can I interview you?" And they're like, "Well, who are you? How many people have you got watching the show?" Blah blah. Angie didn't ask me that. Angie just sent me all of her stuff. Right? She was prepared. She was ready, and she was like, "Rudi, let's talk about this."
Beautiful soul.
I owe a lot to Angie for that. I genuinely do. Thanks for the hand claps. That's what I need.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in, because I know this isn't easy all the time. So taking time out to be able to just spend a little quality time with each other is what is important. I thank you so much. And you know what? We have all got a story to tell, and we're all on a mission. I always say to my boys, make something happen. That's what I'm saying for you guys. Make something happen. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
And on those words, right, we will thank you. And remember, I'm not cutting you out yet. I'm just saying goodbye, okay? Thank you for your time. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Josephine Melville. As I said, she's one of my role models. You know, I really don't look over to, well, I'll be lying if I say I don't look over totally to the Atlantic, but I do look across. But I know that my role models are directly underneath my nose, and I know who has inspired me. So please catch me next week. I will have another special guest for you. Check out the trailer and you will find out who. Take care. Thank you for watching Keep It Real this week with Josephine Melville. Living proof, man, that the pioneers that we are looking for are right underneath our noses. If it was not for the posse, if it was not for the BiBi Crew, theatre wouldn't even be here today. And then look at all the work that she's doing with all the youngsters, the way that in which she's archived all of that information about all the things that we've been getting up to over the past hundreds of years. And then there's all that hard work that she's doing in schools, as well as with the Afro-Caribbean Association. She is just living proof that we don't always have to look over to the Atlantic in order to find our superheroes when they're right underneath our noses. So tune in to me next week when I will be talking to Bada Bada.
It's that time of the year again. That one little piece them section out for you. Black history, don't front. I'm black all year, not just 1 month. America is February, England October. If black history, get a passport and hop over like what? You know I'm passionate about ours. Can't teach black history class off flip charts. Take them to the British Museum. Let me show them all of the Benin bronzes and how you stole them and won't give them back.
I've got to admit, he is one of the most articulate individuals I have come across for a very long time. Most of the time we was looking at niggas with an attitude, we were looking at KRS, but yet for once again, right underneath our noses, we've got people who are saying things. People like Marky Mark, Andrew Muhammad, Leo Chester, Dean Okai, Kwaku Bonsu, just to name but a few. But if you don't really understand what I'm really trying to tell you, listen to what he has to say about Black History Month, and I will check you guys out next week. And not only that, but throughout the week, I'll be dropping some of his bombs. See ya.
It's your boy Bada Bada. Catch me with Rudi Lickwood on the Keeping It Real show on the 25th of October. So that's Bada Bada, Rudi Lickwood, Keeping It Real show. Stay locked. Bada Bada. Hey, yo, shout out Bill on the beat. It's been a minute, Bill. Can we do this thing? It's that time of the year again. That one little piece them section out for you. Black history, don't front. I'm black all year, not just 1 month. America is February, England October. If black history, get a passport and hop over like what? You know I'm passionate about ours. Can't teach black history class off flip charts. Take them to the British Museum. Let me show them all of the Benin bronzes and how you stole them and won't give them back. You want to teach black history? Teach about that and how we've been asking for 100 years. They said they won't give them back, but we can share. It's like I robbed you last week and this week we're friends. I gotta give back what I robbed last week, then, innit? Ain't that just common sense? But the only thing that's common is how they pretend. Listen, first was like, please can we have them? Then was like, why can't we have them? Then was like, I think we should have them because they're part of our culture. I want to share it with the man them. Now I'm like, who you think you're talking to? Don't let me do an Ocean 11 and draw the crew and lock off the whole of Tottenham Court Road. And we ain't taking just the bronzes, but we're taking the gold. Listen, they never taught my kids about Garvey, how he had a shipping company and had an army. They didn't teach them about Toussaint, how he defeated the French because Donny was just great. They didn't teach them about King Shaka, how his war strategies are in Apache helicopters. Like, yeah, but they gonna know about Badr. They ain't letting off the gas. No way, no nada. Look, please believe it, please. My grandson's gonna have Babylon on their knees, I swear. Because what I'ma teach him, ain't no way they can defeat him. I'ma clue him up. Teach him about Ashanti and a Yoruba. Teach him about his inside power and how to tune it up. Everything done now. Black History Month, Babylon get burned down. I said, everything done now. Black History Month, Babylon get burned down. I said, everything done now. Black History Month, Babylon get burned down. Please believe it, please. My grandson's gonna have Babylon on their knees, I swear. Because what I'ma teach him, ain't no way they can defeat him. I'ma clue him up. Bada bada.